Welcome to the iNetrepreneur Radio Show. We are so honored to bring you your host, the ultimate celebritypreneur, connecting businesses and celebrities worldwide. Winner of the Networking Organization of the Year, best-selling author, magazine publisher, trainer, and owner and founder of Network Together and the iNetrepreneur Media Network for magazines, TV, and radio network. We're excited to bring you your host, Mr. Robert W. Jones.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the show today. I'm glad that you are here with us, no matter where you are in the world. I know it's morning somewhere, I know it's evening somewhere, and I know it's sunset, or sunrise, but we are a global network, and we are glad that you are sharing the globe stick with us today. My name is Robert W. Jones. I like to say it's the W, see right there, because there's enough Robert Jones out there. There's probably enough Robert W. Joneses out there, but I like to think that there's not too many of us. So that's my uniqueness, Ira. So I know that you're coming on here in a little bit. Hey, I want to go through a little housekeeping. I just want to remind everyone that, our book, the 365 Days of Inspirational Quotes, which, I just happen to have right here, went international bestseller in 4 different countries. That was the United States, it was England, Canada, and Australia. So we have, quite a few authors in this book. There's total between the 2 books that we've had so far, there's been 500 authors. We do have our international best-selling logo on there as well. So if you want to support the community, please, purchase it. You can go to mybook.to/Art of Connection 2. That's mybook.to/Art of Connection 2, and you can get your copy there. The normal Amazon price is $25, but currently for a little while, it's only $15.97. Such a special. So we definitely want you to have that. Use it for your team members. Use it as a daily devotional. Use it if you lead a networking group. Use it if you just want to get insight with some of the brightest minds, in the world. So, Art of Connection, 365 Days of Inspirational Quotes. And hey, Rick, aloha. Good to see you here, my friend. Also, I want everyone to remember that our 3rd book in the series, and this is a book, series. It started out with 365 days of networking quotes, and that was all about getting people back into business. It's all about connections, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Our 2nd book was all about inspiration. We were a year, into COVID, and some of us, we were just kind of getting in the muck, and there was all these changes, and, we wanted to get inspired. But now, after 2 years of being in COVID, and all the changes in this new normal that we have now, I think it's time for us to have transformation. So our 3rd book in the series is 365 Days of Transformational Quotes. If you go to the website, that's 365 days of transformationalquotes.com. Early bird special is $197 to have a published page, and your page will also be in the Library of Congress. And keep in mind, Amazon itself publishes over 4,000 books each and every day, and not more than even one of them get into the Library of Congress. So you're going to be in great company. It's the largest academic collection of books and other work resources in the world. So please, even though it's that large, not a lot of people get in there. So become a part of this book and become part of that Library of Congress family. I also want to remind everyone, oh my goodness, I can't even believe that we do this. We put on over 1,000 meetings and events per year. We average 15 to 16 events each and every week, and it's a place for all of us to connect. This is a global connection organization, but in addition to our meetings, we have academy classes, we have events, we have summits. We also have radio shows like this one and other specialty pop-up events that come from time to time with our JV partners. Next, please just like us on Facebook. It's iNetrepreneur Radio. That's iNetrepreneur Radio. Show us you like us out there. Or, go to Facebook, go to YouTube, and just comment, and I'll call you out. I'll give you some run, and we just love to do that here. And lastly, we just came out with our newest edition of our iNetrepreneur magazine, and our 3rd guest of the show, I won't give it away yet, is the cover of that issue. So this gentleman, he's like, I'm telling you, and I could say there's a brother of a different mother, and you probably say that when you see us together, but he is my brother. He is my compatriot, my compadre, and my brother in arms. So I can't wait to interview him later in the show. But let's get on with the show today. I am going to bring on my first guest, a longtime great friend, wonderful. I dare say it, Ira. Wonderful partner. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Oh, I'm great, Robert. I'm looking forward to this, and every time we do these, it's always fantastic.
It really is. One of the things that I always like when I get to meet with you, Iris, I always feel like, we get 1%. And, I think I always thought that in my mind, but what it really is we always are free with the sharing of our information, and we actually just give our 1%, don't we?
Absolutely. It's impossible to help other people without helping yourself. And I know you live by that, and it's always about how can you elevate others. But yeah, I mean, you and I, when we start talking, it can we can have lengthy calls sometimes.
And I don't mind those lengthy calls. Some calls I wish I didn't have at all, but with yours, I'm okay with the lengthy calls. I always know this, Ira. If you're in my phone, I never make it 5 minutes. I make sure I have 50 minutes of phone time just in case, because you never know what type of tangent we're going to go on and learn and bring to others. And it's really funny because I bring this up, and you and I have both been in the how would I say, the athletic space. And for much of our lives, our lives were all about training. Our lives was all about, the heart set and the mindset. And I was coming across some information, and a gentleman that I helped promote when I was living in San Diego was Terrell Fletcher. And Terrell Fletcher, he was a 8-year veteran that played for the San Diego Chargers. And his speech was on, what does the heart of the champion look like? And the fourth run on that is something that I think that you and I share both. And it's that champions share stories.
Mhm.
Champions share stories. And being a relentless advocate for small business, would you agree with that statement?
Oh, absolutely. Because it's one thing about stories. We remember them. We're all really little kids that have grown up, and little kids love stories, and we remember them. They're memorable. They stay with us when and you can really anchor on that. But I agree. I think the better storyteller you can be, the more influential and persuasive you can be when you're talking to people.
And what's really interesting about that, Ira, and this is what really is something that I think that you and I have talked in the past. Now, one of the things that I have found is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is one of the greatest, I think, platforms in the social media space that allows, entrepreneurs, founders, business owners, etc., to get in contact, source to source. But one of the things that I found is I've always said, people want to know your who and your why before they get to your what and your how. And even in LinkedIn space, sometimes we don't really use that space to share much story, do we? There's a lot of people who need to change their profiles to be more reflective of the who and the why, not just the what and the how.
Yeah, I mean the profile is critically important because it's very competitive out there right now. And I'll see someone's profile where they have hardly anything filled out, like the background cover is blank. And I always use the analogy: it's like if you had an expensive billboard on a freeway with a million cars going by there every week with no message. And so it's a very 5 years ago, 10 years ago, people didn't really check you out that much on LinkedIn. Now if they're going to do business with you, 7 out of 10 times, I just read this, they will look you up quicker on your profile than they will on an actual website. Isn't that something?
Yeah, from what I found is once a person actually starts getting, how should I say, engaged with LinkedIn as a tool, they don't go to Google anymore. They will actually go to LinkedIn and use it as their searchable database, even over, Google when it comes to finding out who people are. And I think that that's really important for us entrepreneurs to know that. It's not just about what we offer; it's about who we may be working with, isn't it?
Absolutely. You can go in there and see who someone's network is. And there's, you talk about social capital. I mean, if you've got 10,000 connections on LinkedIn, that's great. But unless you're talking to those people and you're engaging and you're communicating with them all the time, there's really no value. And I think that's one of the mistakes that people make on LinkedIn is they get a lot of connections, a lot of them are random, but there's no dialogue, there's nothing that is exchanged back and forth. So one of the things we help them do is help them with content marketing, which is the most powerful way to really build trust and authority within a community. I mean, you do
Well,
that all the time.
thank you. I appreciate that. But there's one question I've really never asked you before, Ira, and it's really kind of funny that I've never asked this. Because you've had to me several distinguished careers before you got into the LinkedIn space. Before you said, this is where I want to be. This is how I think that I can, help businesses, business owners reposition themselves for greater success. I mean, even in some, you help reinvent who they are through LinkedIn. But you know where you are now, certainly wasn't where when you first came upon LinkedIn, you said, I just want to get into LinkedIn. I think this is the place to be. I think this is where the owners are going to be found. I mean, what did that look like in that time frame when you decided to pivot from what you were doing to say, what, maybe let's go from videos or let's go from the other industries that you worked in to say, LinkedIn is going to be my space from here on out?
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting question. Going back a number of years ago, 13 years, Corey and I, my business partner, Corey Sanchez, we used to go to one networking event a day religiously. And I love it. I love being out there meeting people, and sometimes two a day. And we met all these people. We built great relationships. And after a year and a half, it was very exhausting. It's very tiring, and I loved it. But then I stumbled across LinkedIn. And I go, wait a minute, I can do all this, and I love the face to face, but I can do so much in one day and connect with all these people that it was such an efficient use of time, and it was a global platform. As soon as we did that, our business going just from being in Arizona, it literally went global. I mean, you had the same experience when you got on there and started using it properly.
Well, and you would have to bring that up, wouldn't you? And it's so funny. I mean, never before did the saying "you don't know what you don't know" comes into mind when it comes to you. You were nearly like knocking me down in hallways to say, Robert, you got to get on this platform. This platform is going to bring you people that you never thought you would meet before and have conversations that you've never had before. And I remember looking back at that, and I said, yeah, I'm a computer hack. I did computer programming and coding for different companies, and I thought, is it really that good? And I remember sitting on it for a year. I sat on it for a year, Ira, and then you came back to me and you're like, how's it going? And I said, well, thank you. I haven't really used it yet, and I had about 300 people in my LinkedIn world. And then I remember you coming to me, and you just hit the right touch point. You just told me, you said, Robert, you know, you have to you have to use LinkedIn now, because if you don't, someone will start finding out what this tool can do for them, and that's fear of losing out, fear of missing
It's
out.
FOMO.
And yeah, and you said if you don't use it now, you may lose that opportunity. And I didn't feel like you gave it to me as a sales pitch. I felt that you truly gave it to me as a sincere place of care, you know. And I remember a year later, I ended up having 5,000 people in my LinkedIn, and all of a sudden I was actually making connections to people in different states and even different countries. And then all of a sudden COVID hit, and then all of a sudden everyone started going to LinkedIn. But because I had the snowball effect of that first year first, you know, it blossomed my business in every way. And we were prepared to go from an all in-person networking organization in Arizona to being a global organization that's in 20 countries in 25 different states. And it was all because you did a chokehold on me and you said, Robert, you got to do this. And I want to say thank you for it. But what are some of the mistakes besides just sitting on it? That people do with their LinkedIn, kind of a do's and a don'ts. What's like thing that they should be doing, and what's one thing that they should just stop doing when it concerns LinkedIn?
Okay, great question. First of all, your profile, you want to start with that. Number two is, have everything filled out properly. And when you message people, keep it very short. Keep it very brief. Once they join your network, send them a very simple message. Don't dive in and start pitching and selling. What you want to do, I call it VDA, value-driven approach. You want to start sending out little tidbits of information that's educational that they would find valuable. So that way you're leading with value, you're building trust. You're not, so it's a softer approach. We have some automation tools where you can be in front of somebody 25 times easily during the year, and then you're in front of them all the time with a drip campaign. But I think it's really important when people respond to you. Here's the big mistake that people make is they get a lot of connections, and anybody can get a lot of connections. What you want to be able to do is get them off of LinkedIn for an actual meeting where it's a Zoom call. When the mistake a lot of people make is they just message back and forth like they're on Facebook. You've got to get them off of LinkedIn for that call. You get to know someone and just make it a discovery call and find out about them. Tell me what's going on in your world. How can I help you? Maybe I can send some people your way, and then you build that trust. But I think it's a relationship-driven platform. It's not transactional. It's translational. And I think if people remember that and just a softer approach, I think instead of chasing everybody, if you do things properly, they'll actually chase you and come to you. And you've had that experience.
Absolutely. And I say, I have the art of connection, and LinkedIn really is a connection to conversation platform, and never let that go. I mean, I'll say that again. LinkedIn is a connection to conversation platform. But, one of the things that I say again and again to people is, not all automation is the same. Not all training is the same. Not all consultation is the same. I mean, since you guys have been the global leader in this, you're always in the forefront of everything LinkedIn, aren't you?
Well, we're nominated or we're in the top 1% of influencers on LinkedIn. That came from LinkedIn itself. So we're out there in the community. I mean, we've been at this pretty much longer than anybody. I mean, like right now, we're working on a big Shark Tank project with Mark Cuban. I don't think I told you that.
No.
And he could go to anybody. And we've done a lot of stuff with Grant Cardone, billionaire, a lot of real high profile people that, Sharon Lecter, who's local here, Robert Kiyosaki, Les Brown, Mark Victor Hansen, a lot of those guys. And then they send us their people. So it's really been, you talk about fun. When you're working with people of that caliber, it's exciting to get up in the morning and just to see what unfolds on that day. It's always different. It's always exciting.
Well, and what's exciting for me is, I feel like being in that basket as well, because now I've used LinkedIn so well, and we've worked with Mark Victor Hansen through book projects and magazine projects. We worked with Grant Cardone by help promoting him in the local area when he does his events like 10x.
Right.
What I have found is you get to the top by looking for who's at the top. I mean, really, you do. And LinkedIn has been one of my primary tools to shorten, I call it shortening the rope between me and that other person, and then, knowing you and I like to say, I'm like some people collect cars, some people collect toys, some people collect, right, matchboxes. What I do is I collect personalities. And by collecting personalities, I'm able to connect in the highest level of way. But, quite frankly, much of the way I've been able to connect is through the LinkedIn platform and your social BFF software. And, and that's why I want to tell the world about it, because the thing is, as a champion, you share your stories, you share your knowledge, and you're not afraid for everyone having success. And that's kind of like how I think that you and I both approach it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's nothing that I get a more personal satisfaction from is seeing other people win. And, like on our YouTube channel, we've got just hundreds of people in there that have just all case studies we've helped a lot of people get to 7 figures. We've also helped the entrepreneur that's a startup that's, staring at a blank calendar. I call it empty calendar syndrome, which is you get a knot in your stomach because you've got nobody to talk to. And the calendar really is the litmus test of how good your marketing is, no matter what you're doing. You want to be talking to at least 1 or 2 people a day, every day, no matter what. And so our platform, provides that. So that way you always have people to talk to, and you're growing your network at the rate of around 4,000 to 5,000 people a year that are targeted. And then we work with you one-on-one, and we coach you. After 4 or 5 weeks, you'll know more about LinkedIn than 99% of the population. And I know that I can clearly say that with confidence about yourself, Robert, with all the knowledge you have about LinkedIn now that you didn't have a few years ago, which is very valuable.
Oh, I mean, it's tremendously value. There's nothing worse than paying for a software that you'll never use. It's a value to no one. And we're about at the end of the segment, but you know, tell us about how an onboarding situation would look for an entrepreneur. You probably have to qualify them. You probably maybe do a profile makeover. You probably look at a target market and do some advocation for them. If someone has not ever really been in LinkedIn before, let alone looking at a software, and I'm really saying this because you just don't sell the software to someone and run away. I mean, you're actually trying to set them up for the best value of success, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the software is just a small part of it. It's the
Hmm.
understanding LinkedIn and knowing how to navigate through there, and being able to leverage LinkedIn. So, I mean, initially we start with your profile because that's critically important, and we have someone that actually is a PR head of PR, and she used to work at CBS and in PR, and so she'll work with someone on their profile. We do a radio interview, we do a press release, and then from there we onboard this person with one of our LinkedIn coaches, and we meet with you every week for an hour one-on-one. And at the end of 4 weeks, you really understand LinkedIn. We have live support every day. You'll never get a voicemail during normal business hours. So we are there every step of the way. Robert, from personal experience, I mean, our customer support is absolutely a 10. And people that are with us for over 10 years, that's one of the things they always talk about is we're there to help you every step of the way. I've got a lot of employees that have been with me for over 10 years because they believe in what we're doing in such a powerful way.
Well, like when Terrell Fletcher was talking about champions and what the champion heart set is, champions love the process. And they love the process of the daily grind. Each and everything matters, and
Right.
that's what I love about you, Ira. It's not that you just have the software. It's not that you just you have the coaching. It's that you love the process, and you have a sincere belief that the entrepreneur is the backbone of our economy. And I've always been thankful that you took that space, and you continue to champion that thought.
Yeah, well, thank you, Robert. It's right now. I mean, the backbone of our economy right now is a small business, and
Hmm.
we need, and to be a successful entrepreneur, you've got to be a warrior, and you got to be out there. And no one said it was easy, but 98% of everyone's success right now in this new digital world is your marketing. It's not even how good you are at what you do; it's how good you are of getting people on a calendar. And I think that says it all right there.
Absolutely. I have your information going across the screen right now. Um, a- anything special going on in the social BFF world that we need to know about, or are there any events coming up? Go ahead, or any other ways of getting in contact with you, Ira.
Yeah, I mean, my email is probably the best, or my phone number. You can call or text me, and I'd love to hear from you. And we have a lot of people from Robert's community that we've worked with in the past, and recently have just gotten started with us. So it's always fun to work with Robert's people because they're so passionate, they're so excited, and they're like on a mission. And they have what I call the WIT mindset, which I love, whatever it takes. And so those are our best clients, people that are highly motivated, that really they want to win. And so that's what we're all about, is no client left behind. And that's just we live by that.
Well, Ira, thank you so much for being on the show today. I appreciate every moment that we get together. Like I said, you gave me another 1%. I love the VTA. VDA. I wrote that down, and I also wrote my WIT, whatever it takes. So I'm going to take that with me. And you may be hearing me say that sometime, Ira. So I'll try to remember to give you credit for it, but I might just steal that.
Well, that's all right. It's R&D, good old R&D, rip off and duplicate.
Right. I love it. Absolutely cool. All right. All right. Have a wonderful week, and let's talk soon.
All right. Thank you.
Again, that is Ira Rosen. He is the co-founder of Mojo Global, and his software, Social BFF. It is a rock star software, and it's helped, I think thousands of businesses go from being unknown to being very known. And I say this a lot to my clients, myself. I say there's no business or person in the world that ever was found without the first step of having an awareness. And in speaking of awareness, I'm really excited because I have an influencer rock star coming on to the show. Her name is Ace Doligosa. Hi, Ace. How are you?
Hi, Robert. Thank you so much for having me join today. This is stellar. I love this.
I love this too. I have your information going across the screen. I still remember when we met. When we met the first time. It was actually through the LinkedIn software, believe it or not. And so I work with a team, and I remember one of my business coaches, told me, he goes, you're using the software, you're bringing people in. And he's like, what good is having 5,000 people in your LinkedIn world if you're not going to reach out and touch them? And I thought, what? I'm gonna start doing like Ira says. I'm gonna do like that business coach says, and I'm gonna start, getting out there and just getting with people. And you were one of those people. And I remember we had it set up, Ace, for like a 15-minute call. A 15-minute call. You know how long our call lasted?
I'm assuming, and from memory, about an hour and a half.
Yes, yes. It was an hour and 27 minutes. And I remember getting off the phone, and I thought, you know what? I don't even have conversations with my wife and kids for an hour and 27 minutes. And so so I thought right then and there. We have conversations, but what I mean by that is I thought right then and there was a synergy and a style and a substance that you have, and I wanted to be a part of that, and I believe in a certain way that you felt the same. And a lot of where we really collaborate, and where we really complement each other is we really just want one thing. We want to leave, the business community, the community in general, and people around us better than what we met them at. And that's what I found so wonderful about you. To me, you're an entrepreneur, you're an advocate, you're an artist, but you're also, something that I really don't know enough about. You're also an Instagram influencer, and you're a champion for something else that I really champion too, and that's about mental health. Because I believe in this country we've gone through such a stressful time over the last 2.5 years. For many of us, we got to get back to self-care. Entrepreneurs work on what they do all the time, but they don't work on themselves enough, do they?
No, not at all, actually. It's been quite a struggle to find that balance, but being able to figure that out and also pair that with having a very successful business, that is the real goal, in my opinion. You can have you can have an amazing career and you can keep
Yeah.
moving forward, but you're not going to be happy unless you take care of yourselves as well.
You know, it's like I tell my wife, I said, what good is being in love if we don't have any time to share our love? You know, I
Wow.
mean, really, I mean, think about that for a moment. You're not going to have people around you stay around you if you don't have time to spend with them. And that's what is so incredible to me, because for small businesses and people that are trying to get their voice out there, it's like you have this secret sauce, like of keyword terminologies, of creating the right messages that match, entrepreneurs' mission. But why do you choose Instagram as your focal point for helping small businesses get themselves out there? Because I've always wanted to ask that. And I'm not asking for your secret sauce, but why Instagram?
So funny enough, when I was working at CAA, it's a talent agency in Hollywood, I was working in finance and accounting, and I was helping build their systems and technology, and like making sure that they scale from small mom and pops to the global conglomerate that they are now.
Hmm.
And what I found really interesting was, as I was running through these systems, I got really bored. At some point I made 8 systems and they all ran themselves. I didn't really need to do anything anymore. There was a point where I could just check in and not even be at the office too. So
But but for most people, isn't that a dream? Oh my goodness, they have this system working, they have this system working, they have this system working, and probably for a lot of people, they'd be like, okay, I'm set. But not you,
yeah, no,
right?
no. So yeah, because I love what you said with Ira in regards to champions love the process. If there is no process, being bored isn't fun,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
So I started tinkering with Instagram in 2015, 2016, and I was tinkering. And then this was the point where I was really trying to understand myself as well. I was only 24 years old at the time. And what I found was the algorithm was interesting and fun to play with.
Yeah.
Another thing, as I aged in my age group that we're all on Instagram, they're all becoming entrepreneurs now.
Hmm.
They're also going to grow to be the decision makers for society as they hit 35 and above, right? So as
Yeah.
people are comfortable and understand Instagram, and then it's becoming this platform very similar to like LinkedIn, where it takes all these different technology bases. It's global. You can buy things on it. You can also hit demographics in more of a professional way instead of just TikTok. I appreciate TikTok. It is a great platform, but it is not specifically business to consumer driven. About 60% of people actually go on Instagram to find new products.
Yeah. It's really interesting to me because, like, we use the word interoperable. And what that means is like what I love about Instagram is it actually has the ability of tying into the multitude of different databases to be able to data mine different facts and figures to allow you to actually get your message very targeted and specific to the audience that you want to reach. And quite frankly, there's not a lot of softwares that allow you to do that. And also, many of those softwares actually, are kind of convoluted with another monetization process running in the background. And that's what's really interesting about Instagram is it really is an upfront and center type of um, social software, isn't it?
Definitely, in the sense that you can share really great products, new ideas, fun, awesome photos, not even just photos. When you think about Instagram, it is the new entrepreneur's business card. If you have a product,
It.
let's
Hmm.
say, like I know a botanist that I met recently, and she has an incredible customer service base, but she doesn't know how to translate that onto Instagram yet. And there are very creative ways into showing people how to do that and create that click funnel of interest towards your landing page and being able to sell your product.
Well, and what's also interesting about it is it we have found, because we don't necessarily have products to sell, in the iEntrepreneur Network, what we have is we're kind of like selling ideas. So if it's an event that's coming up, if it's a person that we want to be seen, if it is a place where we want them to go, I mean, Instagram, you know, it's almost like it allows a person to like absorb a concept without having to sit there and wait 10 minutes to watch a video. And and I mean it, you don't have to sit there and wait 10 minutes and go through, oh, now I got it after 10 minutes. And the next thing is you don't have to read a long emailed sales copy. So what we found is like our visuals. I think there's like the auditory, and then there's the visuals, and then there are those that are read. It's like bringing a whole different audience ace to us, because our visuals are able to like I don't know, I want to say, Snapchat it into their head. And all of a sudden they know exactly what they want, when they want, where they want. And that's due to Instagram. I mean, tell us a little bit about the psychology behind Instagram and why it's so powerful.
So funny enough, Instagram, it's become so smart over the years. It really sees, right? It
No,
tracks
it has. Yeah.
yeah, it
Oh,
tracks what you're interested in, and they actually simultaneously take their database of interests from Facebook. So if you have interest on Facebook, I don't know, long time ago, I used to click like, I'm interested in this, I'm interested in snowboarding, and those kind of really play out on Facebook. Now, Instagram picks up on that, sees what you're interested in, and shows that content on your feed. What I find more interesting is, I'm not going to explain the secret sauce part, which I love what you said about that. But I did want to share something very specific. So on April 14th, I posted this for a client, and this is fine. Oh, well, can we see it? Maybe.
yes,
Yeah.
part at a time. I can. Yeah. I feel the curtain.
Okay, the curtain goes. Look at the numbers,
Yep.
right?
They're large.
Well, no, not this one. Oh, actually, that one is large. Now that we think
Yes,
about it. So
that's really
that says
large. I
100.
like it. Yeah.
This is directly from my Instagram account, the first post that you see. People reached 169,000, as well as, that's great for the dopamine drip, but what
Yeah.
we really want is the conversion rate, right? So we want 255 taps to go straight to your profile. The psychology behind that essentially comes from knowing people in fashion are interested in this. People in India are interested in this product. People that are interested in Bridgerton are interested in this project. And that's an interesting scope, because they bring on in Southeast Asian Indian representation onto the TV show. So that's where the psychology picks up, where people are akin and inclined to things that they haven't seen before, but are interested in learning more.
Well, I think that that's interesting to me, because one of the things that we talk about a lot of times is we talk about demographics, but I think
Mm-hmm.
what you're also talking about is what psychographics, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and so all of a sudden it's not just like a product driven type of platform anymore. It's actually, it kind of gets behind the scenes on, like, it's interpreting, the psychology of the buyer user, desire, isn't it?
Exactly. It's actually producing a type of AI to understand your interests and how they evolve. And sometimes people who grow rapidly throw off that system so much, they're like, what? But people like us who want to learn every day, we want to grow every day, that isn't as, which I find fascinating, that isn't as normal as I thought it was.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like if we're growing, we're living, we're learning. There's a good portion of that interface that don't do the same. But if you can reach out to them with your platform, they might be able to enjoy what you enjoy as well.
Well, and here's some other things, because I want to talk about the business side of it, but the other thing that I always say, you use Instagram for good, and what I mean by that is, what I was really fond about you is you have a heart for business, but you again, I brought this up in the first part of the segment, you also have a heart for not-for-profits to help other people in other meaningful ways. And one of them is, helping, raise awareness, for mental health. People, why, Ace? Because I always like to know the who and the why, and why is that a space that's so personal, and you're so passionate about, because that is a space I don't know too much about you in, but I think that it's going to resonate with, those who are watching as well.
Thank you for that question. So I am an early age suicide survivor.
Oh,
Yep, age 8 years old,
oh
and
my.
it was a stigma, right, to have depression, especially in minority communities. Um, with that being said, I kept realizing, well, there it takes a lot of effort to want to say goodbye, but what helps is learning wisdom, right? Because I started realizing at a young age, if I kept reading things that made sense, my heart felt better and more joyful. And that's what most of my Instagram quotes are from. Like if you see those captions from a long time ago, those quotes actually helped me keep going and pick myself up. Now, from there, I got creative. I got to model and work with the Instagram photography communities of Los Angeles and create these mesmerizing photos of just landscape portrait fusion. And what I knew was that if you saw that on your feed, you kind of stop for a second
Yeah.
because you're like, ooh, pretty. I know, vapid. But if you read the quote, because like I was trying to get people's attention, then you would read the quote, and then from there, I would use the Instagram promo app the way that I would target specific audiences. I psychographed who was on the brink of either suicide or mental health help, right? They needed that support, but they didn't know where to go because it was such a stigma. So what I did was I would promote each Instagram post towards those people fighting mental health.
Well,
I wouldn't say incapabilities, but despair.
and that's where the crossover comes between you and me, because I have my own story, and I'll share my story at a later date, but you know that's what matters to me. One of the things that I found in the last 2.5, 3 years is, entrepreneurship for a lot of people can be a very lonely place, and depression can set in. And, I think that, all is not perfect all the time in the life of the entrepreneur. And I think what you're providing is a safe haven for people to go, so they can get into the space of growth again. And that's why, I just wanted to bring this up in the segment, and I want people to, raise you up and look at you in that way. Because you have gone from, tears, but now, you're painting pictures of glory and stories, and that's what I just wanted to mention you. But I just am going to put your information across the screen here. Again, I am with Ace Doligosa. She is an Instagram rock star. She just has she wears her heart out there. And she advocates. She wants to make a difference. She's created her own space, and quite frankly, you could have stayed with the NBC Universal and many other really primetime large companies, but you decided that your space was just going to save souls. And I just want to say thank you for that.
Oh, thank you so much, Robert. That was a wonderful, wonderful outro, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
So I have your information going across here, Ace at acedoligosa.com, and acedoligosa.com is your website. Are there other ways that we can reach you at?
Yes, you can also follow me on Instagram at Ace underscore Doligosa.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today, Ace. Let's make sure that we meet up sooner than later, because I just want to see what you're working on. Maybe we can compare some notes and just keep getting our voice extended out there with each other. Again, like I said at the beginning of the show, there's no business or person that ever grew without first having an awareness of it. And I am so grateful that you're creating an awareness for others. Have a great weekend. Again, I was just with Ace Doligosa. I call her one of the coolest 30 under 30s that you could possibly meet. If you're looking for your business or for your not-for-profit to go and grow, pick up the glow stick. That's Ace. And if you contact her, contact with me, I will get you introduced to her. Oh my goodness, my next guest is Mr. Jeffrey Morris. Oh my goodness. And he has it right there, reflective thinker. Hey, Jeff, remember, I'm a facilitator, my brother. How are you?
Absolutely, brother. How are you? I'm great. Excited to be on the show.
Oh man, one of the things, like I said, I said this before. I said I just love what I do because I get to pick out my life in such a way that I get to be with the people that just inspire me, and you inspire me. Ace inspires me. Ira inspires me. But one of the things that you and I have is we both have in our background the United States Marine Corps. And
Hoorah!
hoorah, and I say this so often. I say, just no one knows what it's like to be a Marine unless you're another Marine. Is that correct?
Absolutely. It's a unique brotherhood. It's a small fraternity that when you say Marine, nothing else has to be said between us. There's an instant bond. Is that true, brother?
That is true because I know, and Ace brought it up as well, and it just reminds me because if there ever was such a thing as the process, being a Marine, it gets you to maybe not love the process, but it gets you to respect the process. And by respecting the process, I think it really allows you to say, man, I don't want to take that next step. I don't want to put that effort in. But all of a sudden, that process kicks in, and you know what you do? You take that next step and you do it at the best self, don't you?
You know, all greatness comes through process. Nothing great ever comes without a process. Because if you have a process, the process can always be evaluated and it can always be improved. So without a way to measure, what you're trying to accomplish, you don't ever accomplish it. So I wrote down so many gems from both Ira and Ace. Champions embrace the process. Certainly, I love process, being a reflective thinker. I don't do anything unless I have a process. I think you know that about me already by now, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the other thing that I really enjoy about you is, you know, you have purpose. And one of the things that comes to mind with me is when I say purpose, and I don't mean to minimize it, that it's just purpose. You also have developed a pathway for your purpose. One of the things, I'm a believer in God, and I don't say that too often in the show. I believe that every person is created with purpose in their life.
Mm.
We may get distracted from it, we may be afraid of it, we may not know to pursue it, but each one of us all has purpose. And to me, the reason why we're such social beings is, we're here to be each other's keepers, to help people find, not find their purpose, but find the pathway that best suits their purpose. And see, to me, and I know this is kind of a long, reflective introduction for what I'm going to talk about. It's because you have found something that I think is a secret sauce, and I'll dare say a secret sauce when it comes to human behavior. You are a part of an academy that's been able to drive out personality types. So not only does a person find their purpose, they find the best pathway and the best tools to drive that purpose so they can honor the gifts that they've been given to help others. Would I be incorrect in that statement, Jeff?
Man, I love it. That was part of my magazine article, right? Is all human beings, regardless of where you're from, ethnicity, race, culture, gender, orientation, doesn't matter. We all have to grapple with one question. And that's the question of, who am I?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I heard you say people, I wrote it down. People always want to know who and why before they know what and how. Unfortunately, many of us can't answer the question with transparency right? With authenticity, the question of who am I? So at the DreamSmart Academy, we start with that question of what's your behavioral identity? Well, you see me, I'm a reflective thinker, right? Then we go a little deeper and we say, well, what are your gifts, talents, and abilities? Well, if you look at my screen, it says I'm planned, I'm fast paced, and I'm a pioneer. So I can show up now with transparency and with authenticity, to my family, to my friends, to my clients. And I can take that a step further and I say, based on these gifts, talents, and abilities and my behavioral identity, what significant contribution can I make to the world? What can my purpose be? Right? How do I walk in my greatness now that I know this information? So, like you said earlier, I get to wake up every day because I know, excited every day because I know I'm going to say something to someone that's going to transform their life, because we can answer the question, who am I?
Yeah, and like, who am I? And you and I have talked about this before when you came up on stage and we spoke at the book premiere. The craziest thing, I mean, it's the craziest thing about the human beings and the human spirit, isn't it, Jeff? I mean, the thing is I can go down to my local Target or Walmart and I can buy a toaster oven and it gives me instructions on how to operate that thing, right? You know what?
Yes.
But I tell you what, with my 4 kids, I didn't get instructions for not one of them. You know what? So I can take a lifetime trying to figure them out, or you know
Right.
what? I can have them take as they get a little older, a behavioral assessment and really understand what drives their behavior. So I can, it's not just about business, and that's what I really want to talk about as well. It's actually about community. It's actually about your neighbor. It's actually about your life partner, and it's actually about your kids, because not only does it help you become a better communicator when it comes to you and those that you do business with, it actually allows you to be a better friend, a better husband, a better father, and actually allows you to help cultivate the gifts in your kids at a much earlier age. And I think that that's one of the things that we don't necessarily always talk about in the DreamStart Academy, but I think that we are, because we're going to have Academy going live here in the next few months, aren't we?
Absolutely. Robert, think about this information. I'm remarried, so I have 6 kids. We got the black and brown Brady Bunch in my house, as I said, right?
Right.
You got the black and brown Brady Bunch. But imagine knowing this information about your kids so that you lead them differently. Like, see, managers, there's a difference between managers and leaders. Managers manage everybody the same, but leaders, give everybody their unique proposition in life. My kids, I have a facilitator. My son, have a wife that's a facilitator. I have a daughter that's an influencer. One's an engager. One's a community builder. Now that I know this information, I can parent them all based on their unique gifts, talents, and abilities. It's transforming families all over the world. This approach that we're using right now.
And that's the key. I mean, I call 2022, 2022, the year of transformation. For so many of us, we everything was forced upon us. We were forced to maybe to wear masks. We were forced to stay 6 feet apart. We were forced to take a new evaluation of how we did business and how our kids went to school and what they were taught and where we went. And we were forced to look at our partners maybe differently. We were forced to be, to be and do things differently, like even dating, but now that we've kind of gone through this and some things are going back to normal, I mean, some things aren't going back to normal. I mean, I like to say we're in the new normal, but one thing, doesn't change. Human beings are based upon a foundation of behavioral aspects, no matter what we've gone through. Isn't that true?
Absolutely. Robert, here's a quote that I like to use, and it's based off of transformation. I'm so excited about the book coming up about transformation. I say to transform yourself, not yourself, but YO''SELF, you must first know yourself, right? And so this behavioral approach that we leverage in our ecosystem, these behaviors that we're measuring, 575, by the way, right? We're looking at 575 behaviors. These behaviors began to be ingrained around the age of 3. Your amygdala begins to have these things, imprinted on its brain around the age of 3. And as you go out throughout your life, they become ingrained even further. So by the time you're 18 or 19, it's really difficult to move the needle from being a reflective thinker to getting to a facilitator. And if you've ever been in a relationship, both personally or professionally, and you say, man, why don't it's so hard to change people? Well, that's why, because of these ingrained behaviors that operate below the surface. That's not what we see, right? It's the things that are operating below the surface, that iceberg that we talk about, that's really driving behavior, communication, and performance.
And what made you fascinated with this, Jeff? I mean, like me, we're just old jarheads. We're we're serving our country. We're doing the right thing. We had our only meaning and intent back in the day. I'm sure you didn't wake up and say, I'm going to be the owner and founder of a DreamSmart Academy. No, did you go through some epiphany point, or did you go through a process, and all of a sudden you said, man, this is my life's work, this is my life's purpose, this is my passion point, this is me now? What did that look like when that came across, your vision?
Well, initially, I went into the Marine Corps, and they asked me to go to sniper school. And I said, well, what's that? And they said, well, it's the guys that wear the little green strings. I said, well, sure, I can do that. Why not? Right. But in my introduction to sniper school, there were 15 critical skills that we had to master to be a sniper. And we really had to learn how to assess a situation, right? We really had to learn how to, once we assess it, we have to now analyze the data, right? And now we have to create an action plan. So I started at really early, being 20 years old, writing out, what we call a training exercise without troops. It's a detailed plan about how you're going to stay alive. And from that point, I really began to love the idea of leadership and the intersection of behavior. So it's been a 30-year journey for me. More intently, the last 10 to 12 years, we've spent a lot of time understanding how behavior impacts money, how behavior impacts family, and about every aspect of our life. So it's been a life, really over 30 years of a journey for me to get to this point of where I'm at today.
Well, it's really interesting because, a part of what happened there probably was hitting the sweet spot of being a reflective thinker. Assess, analyze, action.
Absolutely.
Right there, that's process driven, within the Marine Corps. And I can see why that kind of meshed with you really well. But what are some of the things that you need, though, Jeffrey, when it comes to an awareness of what you are doing? What are you looking for to really champion behavior? Because there are so many tests out there, and most of them, I believe, that they're all intellectually based, but yours is different. So two things. Why your test? There's that why again. Why your test? And why should it matter to me and other people?
Sure. Well, we come across this all the time, but what makes you different than a DISC, predictive index, a strengths finder, or any of the psychometric assessments that are on the market? And by the way, we studied it, being a former Marine, I'm gonna study my enemy. So I know there's about 3,000 of those psychometric assessments in the marketplace. So often where some of the other profiling systems leave off is where we can not only we can do what they do, but we can take clients even deeper, because it's all about factors and traits for us. There's 8 factors, right? And there's 16 traits. And when you complete our exercise, we have subsets of information, just not only your behavior, but we can look at things like your financial temperament. We can take from that and we can look at your communication style. We can look at your DEI temperament. So we have subsets of information because we're measuring not what changes, right, with the situation, which is what we see above the iceberg. We're really measuring what's below the surface, and that's the behavior. And when we're saying we look at 575 behaviors, we can really, in 10 minutes, get a lifetime of information about anybody, any human motivation, any habit that you need to know about. We can look at it and measure it and coach you for a lifetime.
Yeah, I think that's just amazing. I am here with Jeff Morris. He is with DreamSmart Academy, a reflective thinker. He's fast paced. He's planned. He's amazing, and he's a Marine brother. Jeff, I have your information going across the screen right now. What are other ways that people can get a hold of you?
Robert, I'm getting hooked up on social media. That was one of the epiphanies that came from your talk on greatness at the summit that we had earlier in the month. Is I have to be visible. Visibility is credibility, and credibility is profitability. So I've brought on a social media director. So you're going to see me more active on LinkedIn. Ira, you're going to see me more active on Instagram, Ace. So I'll be reaching out to everybody that was on the call today to really increase my social media capital for those that are looking to improve their lives and get to the next level, whatever it is they're doing.
I say this, now I'll say it to my community again and again and again. No person or no business has ever grown without having first awareness of it. I'm here to help Ace, Jeff, Ira. All of my guests today. What a wonderful show. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great weekend, Jeff. I don't know what's going on, but if you're like me, part of my mind's in business. It just never turns off, does it?
Absolutely.
But thank you so much again for being on the show with us today.
Thank you, Robert, brother. I'm blessed and honored to be just a part of the network here. Thank you, brother.
Thank you. All right. Just three tremendous, great rock stars, all of them just really in the behavior and awareness space. Ira Rosen with Mojo Globo, Jeff Morris with DreamSmart Academy, and certainly Ace, under 30 rock star Doligosa, coming at us from Los Angeles. Each and every one of them are near and dear to the iNetrepreneur Network. Thank you so much, being again. You know what? That's the end of the show. Remember, we are here Arizona time, which is now, PD time, Pacific time, from 2:30 to 3:30 each and every week. I know you guys have places to go and things to do, but you took this time and space and place to do it with us. And I want to say thank you for it. Until next week, make it great. If you have any questions, just please reach out to me. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
You've been watching the iNetrepreneur Show, a production of the iNetrepreneur Radio Network, with host Robert W. Jones. Join Robert each week as he visits with new and exciting guests who inspire, teach, and mentor entrepreneurs worldwide. Follow Robert each Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Pacific, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, and 8:30 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time.